This time I have a peculiar little box right here, containing a controversial type of watch in any collection of otherwise mechanical timepieces. Nonetheless, I'm fond of this piece, and the development of the quartz watch since the release of the Seiko Astron had an undeniable impact on the world of watches. Many watch enthusiasts consider them to have no soul. But with this piece, I, and hopefully by the end of this video you as well, would beg to differ. Let's take some time and talk about this TISSOT Formula1 TS-X4, which is roughly from the end of the 70s, early 80s. My name is Jan, and you're watching the Time Channel. Quartz watches usually have a bad reputation among mechanical watch collectors, since their cheap manufacturing costs in the late 70s not only led to a flood of basically throwaway watches, but also threatened the classical mechanical watch industry as a whole, before humanity reclaimed its passion for those little pieces of art. But I urge you not to forget that most brands that we still admire today tried to come up with their own versions of this then newfangled technology, like Zenith with the Future Time, which is also an analog digital watch like this one. Or industry behemoths and artisans like Audemars Piguet still offer quartz-powered watches in their iconic case designs. For me, the soul of a watch comes in when the quartz part was not only used to replace the classical mechanical movement in a watch in the 70s, but when the brands started to use it to provide additional value, while also focusing on their strengths in terms of case design. That's why I love analog digital or Ana-Digi watches like this one. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself with the technical aspects. You probably know Tissot for other watches, like the currently famous Gentleman or the PRX line, building a reputation for high quality at a very reasonable price point. Tissot is in fact around since 1853, founded as the Charles Tissot et Filles in Le Locle, Switzerland, and it had a very interesting history, creating the very first watch association together with Omega, the SSIH, or Société Suisse pour l'Industrie Horlogère SA, in 1930, which merged with the ASUAG in 1985 to become the Swatch Group, which saved a lot of companies that were hit hard by the quartz crisis. Therefore, it is even more interesting to see these quartz watches from an era when Tissot nearly faced extinction by the hands of this new technology. Tissot is now still part of the formerly mentioned Swatch Group. The watch right here has a bit of racing heritage, hence the Formula 1 line of watches, where Tissot outfitted a Lotus F1 team from 1979 to 1982. But let's talk about the details of this particular watch. We have a stainless steel, mostly rectangular case with rounded off edges, and it is angulated towards the sides. And it is 33.5 millimeters wide, 44.5 millimeters from lug to lug, and quite slim with 11 millimeters in height measured at the thickest point. It has a lug width of 22 millimeters, but the bracelet is not only immensely comfortable with the, virtually no space in between the links, but it's also tapered towards a 16 millimeter clasp. Additionally, it has black plastic accents on the side towards the two pushers, and you can find two of those on each side for the various functions. It has a mineral glass on it, and I think it is in quite a mint condition considering its age. So I'll bring the watch a little bit closer to talk about the watch face. I already told you that it is an analog digital watch, so it has an analog display on the top, and it is rectangular with a black dial. Well, mostly black. It is a little bit ghosted or faded in my version here, which is just another sign of age on it. And the hour markers are all aligned towards the center of the dial, which I think looks quite interesting. As the Swiss made T signage suggests, it is, it used to have tritium lume, but that does not work anymore. But you can still know your current time at night with the handy little light button on the upper left side, which illuminates your digital LCD time window. In between the analog and digital watch window, there's an array of abbreviations in the middle here. And they all denote the different functions, and the little black triangle on the digital display denotes where you're currently at. Just a quick look at some of the functions, and well, particularly one of them justifies it to be part of the Formula 1 line. And currently I am at the day date function, so we have Saturday the 13th and the running second here. I can jump into the chronograph right here and start the measurement. Of course I can stop it and restart it, but additionally I can use a split timing feature. So if I push the button down here, it will show me one time, for example, the time that the first Formula 1 car finished the race, and underneath it, when it is in split time mode, it will still continue to count. So I can now stop it and push again down here and see the times that the second car finished the race. So quite a handy function, I think. So since you have many functions on this watch, you actually have the button layout denoted down here with a small and big red indicator showing you exactly where to push for the different functions. Those also provide a nice contrast on the dial with their red color, and it also features the model name TS-X4 down here. What I really love about this is that you might mistake this watch for a smartwatch at first glance due to its rectangular shape that is now often seen on popular models for smartwatches. In order to complete the picture, let's have a look at the case back. Well, on this side of the case there is nothing to get excited about. This is probably the soulless side of a quartz watch, I would say. If we want to talk about the movement, it's the caliber 2045. As it is with quartz watches, this beats at a frequency of 32,768 Hz, so not beats per hour as you might be used to from mechanical watches. Therefore very accurate and a huge difference to the 28,800 half oscillations per hour of many mechanical counterparts. So in order to talk about price, I have to admit that this is again a complicated one. I can only tell you what I paid for this version. I paid 500 euros. I've seen only earlier models online like the TS-X3 for around 300 euros, but they were in worse condition and also without the box. It might still be the case that I overpaid a little maybe, but that's usually in the eye of the beholder, especially when we are talking about quartz watches. A quartz watch model from a long-established Swiss watch company, Tissot, that faced near certain demise due to the rise and subsequent damage to the traditional art of watchmaking of that same exact technology. A watch with racing heritage and a build quality so far from what you'd expect from a quartz piece, with both analog and digital display. I hope that after this video you will agree with me that this piece has enough soul to be part of any otherwise strictly mechanical watch collection. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing for more extraordinary timepieces. My name is Jan and you're watching the Time Channel.